Mary Kate is from the New York Public Library, and she's going to be presenting From Local to Lyrasis, NYPL's journey from local hosting to Lyrasis hosting for ArchivesSpace. In this presentation, Mary will share the New York Public Library's journey from locally hosting their ArchivesSpace partnering with Lyrasis for third-party hosting. Implemented nearly 8 years ago, their ASpace instance was supported by their digital and IT teams in collaboration with a former Metadata Archivist. Following the departure of the Metadata Archivist, NYPL faced significant challenges in updating their system due to limited internal technical support. This predicament led NYPL to explore alternative solutions, culminating in their decision to migrate their ASpace instance to Lyrasis hosting. By late July, they formalized their partnership with Lyrasis, aiming to upgrade the latest version of ArchivesSpace to address customization complexities. This presentation will delve into decision-making processes, the anticipated benefits of third-party hosting, and the steps they're taking to ensure.
Thanks, that was a long description, so reading that out loud. Hello everyone, good morning / afternoon. I will be presenting From Local to Lyrasis and talk a little bit about NYPL's journey going from locally hosted ASpace to Lyrasis hosted ASpace. So a little agenda for today. I'm going to speak briefly about the New York Public Library's decision to transition from ASpace to Lyrasis. I'll start by providing some background on our ASpace implementation up to this point, and then discuss the role of my department, Systems and Operations, in this transition. I'll also outline how we'll be collaborating with Lyrasis moving forward, including our immediate goals for the next year, and a look ahead to some of our longer term objectives, because we're very excited to do this. And finally, I'll conclude with a key lesson learned. So briefly, again, my name is Mary Kidd. My pronouns are she, her. I work at the New York Public Library, as you probably figured out. I work in the Preservation and Collections Processing Department. We're a pretty vast department. We have about, I don't ever remember the number, it's around 70 to 80 full-time employees at this point. And I manage the Systems and Operations Department. So what's a little bit unusual about NYPL is that we've been using ASpace now for about 7 to 8 years, since about 2016. And from the beginning, we've been hosting ASpace locally. To provide some context for our recent decision to transition to Lyrasis hosting, I'm going to walk you through kind of a brief history of our organizational decision making, and this will hopefully help you understand why we initially chose to implement ASpace locally and why we're moving over to Lyrasis. So going back in time, prior to implementing ASpace, archivists used to input finding aid data into a local homegrown FileMaker database, known at that time as CMS, Collection Management System. And once a finding aid was completed, the data was relayed to two primary systems that we still use to today. The first is the Archives portal. So descriptive data was exported as EAD XML into the portal, which has served as the main front end for accessing our finding aids at NYPL for over a decade. And this is where all of our finding aids live now, or most all of them. And then our library catalog, we use Sierra, and again, information from the CMS would be exported into MARC format and put into the Sierra catalog. In 2016, we hired a metadata archivist within the Archives department to spearhead the implementation of ASpace. By 2017, ASpace was in use by archivists, not only within the preservation department, but also by kind of select staff across the research library centers. This transition allowed us to move the entry and management of descriptive and arrangement data into ASpace and enabled us to deprecate those features of the CMS system. Our CMS still remains to this day and primarily manages object location data. So building on our tech stack here, ASpace is now interoperable with several key systems used across the library, with ongoing plans to enhance its integration with others. So this includes the Metadata Management System, or MMS. This system handles digital file descriptions and rights management. Preservica, which is our primary digital preservation system. We currently have minimal interaction between ASpace and Preservica, but likely there will be future developments there. Aon, which was also recently implemented, and again, we don't have any interoperability between ASpace and Aon yet, but we plan on utilizing And then lastly, GitHub. We're actively front-loading this platform with preservation and collections processing documentation, aiming to make much of it publicly accessible, including our archives processing manual. And shout out to Sharon, who works with me in systems and operations. Sharon is right over there, raise your hand. She's been kind of instrumental in getting us up and running with GitHub, so I thank you for that. So, since its implementation, again, we talked about how we hosted our ASpace instance locally, and that this was managed by a full-time metadata archivist who ensured the system was well maintained and up to date. Their responsibilities were very extensive and included maintaining code and instances, both production and test, performing quality assurance testing for upgrades, managing custom data imports and updates, facilitating user trainings, maintaining and updating user documentation, developing, deploying, and maintaining customizations and plugins, interfacing with IT and digital system administrators and developers, and providing desktop support for users. So, pretty extensive list of responsibilities. And last summer, the Metadata Archivist left. This is a PDF, so my GIF did not really translate, but this is kind of a stick figure version of the myth of Sisyphus, pushing a large rock up a mountain to the single point of failure, and the rock would roll down and crush the stick figure. So last summer, the Metadata Archivist left NYPL, taking nearly 8 years of ASpace administration and management knowledge with them. The situation highlighted a significant organizational issue. The department was inadvertently structured in a way that a single staff member became the sole point of failure for a critical system. This responsibility should have ideally been distributed between various departments within and outside of preservation, including IT, digital, and my department, systems and operations. Due to a combination of factors, most notably the general lack of domain knowledge of ASpace throughout our vast library system, this did not happen. Our IT and digital teams had minimal interaction with ASpace and were not equipped to take over its administration. Compounding the issue, the department's associate director of special collections processing also left around the same time, which left us without proper representation in high-level conversations with IT and digital leadership. This gap became painfully clear within a week of the Metadata Archivist's departure. As it happens, one day, ASpace stopped working, and when the senior manager of archives, Heather Lember, we have a lot of NYPL staff here today, when the senior manager of archives filed a ticket with our digital team, which was what she was instructed to do, in this person's absence, their response was essentially, we don't know what to do. We don't know who to talk to. After some scrambling, we identified the right person in IT to restart the server, and so this incident underscored the lack of documented systems knowledge and clearly defined roles and responsibilities within our organization. Given these challenges, our department responded by taking a three-step course of action. First, ASpace systems roles and responsibilities were shifted to my department, SysOps. This restructure was likely something that should have happened sooner, as it aligns more closely with kind of what we've been doing up till this point, which was essentially manage the collection management system that I mentioned earlier. So by centralizing these responsibilities within a department that specializes in overall systems management, we aim to mitigate the risk of a single point failure for ASpace in terms of how we support our users, determine functional requirements, prioritize development, relationship management with IT and vendors, and documenting how ASpace works. One of the more immediate tasks assigned to SysOps in this new role was to work with Lyrasis to get a service contract into place. And this will mean that going forward, ASpace will be hosted on Lyrasis servers. And this means a whole lot for us because we will have partners who can not only help us when a server goes down, we also are working with people who have domain expertise who might shed light on what went wrong and why and when understand and help us kind of crawl through the dungeon of error messages and insight into what we can do to improve the system moving forward. And lastly, we finally get to upgrade. We're currently several versions behind the latest release. I think the version we're on starts with a 1.
2.5.
Okay, not quite that bad. All right, thank you. But we're very, very far behind, years behind. This was a project that the Metadata Archivist had kind of been in the middle of QAing on a test instance. So when we kind of picked up the reins and tried to feel out kind of how does this work, is this going to work? There's certain functionality that just isn't working for us. So Lyrasis will kind of be our partners in helping us to make that quantum leap up to the latest version of ASpace. This collaboration is going to be very crucial in unpacking and understanding the various customizations that have been made to our local instance over the years. We anticipate working closely with Lyrasis developers and also use this as an opportunity for just a systems-wide analysis. And we aim to evaluate which customizations might be deprecated, what new plugins can we integrate now, now that we have a say in that, and just rethinking certain workflows altogether. So as of this week, we countersigned an agreement with Lyrasis. This was a very long process. NYPL is a big bureaucracy. It had to be looked at by a number of different folks, including cybersecurity, IT, et cetera, et cetera. But now that is in place, so I'll say by the end of the fall, we'll probably be in full swing with them hosting our instance. So, long-term goals. We have many, I'm just gonna talk about 3. As we look into the future, we have a lot of hope for the future. The first goal that we have is to migrate our archives portal data into ASpace. Since implementing ASpace, we've primarily populated it with newly processed collections, arrangement, and descriptive data. However, we have a wealth of finding aids in our archives portal, some dating back decades, that we are eager to migrate into ASpace. This integration will enhance our data consistency and accessibility. Second goal is to explore the idea of deprecating our portal. This is very closely tied to the first goal of unifying our portal data within ArchivesSpace. By consolidating all legacy finding aid data into ASpace, we could potentially retire this portal, which is currently not adequately supported by our IT and digital teams, kind of the theme for a lot of these woes. And its original developers have long since left NYPL, so kind of similar to our issue with our server going down. If we have a request for a change, or we experience an issue with the portal, we don't really get, I'll say, optimal support for that. Collaborating with Lyrasis offers us the opportunity to develop a more integrated, user-centered approach to accessing our archival data. And lastly, we aspire to contribute to the broader ASpace community. This involves several initiatives, such as documenting our innovations and customizations publicly through our GitHub documentation site, cross-training staff to enhance their proficiency with the system. This is an important one because I feel like this knowledge was really in the hands of one person. Might as well kind of get everyone in, learning it and using it. And then actively participating in ASpace forums such as this one. This is my first. I'm having a really great time. It's really nice to be here. And just in general, sharing more about what we've learned and where we're going. So I said I'd end with one lesson learned. So this critical lesson is, prior to implementing any system, it is absolutely critical to first develop a shared sense of systems management and maintenance roles and responsibilities across the organization. Now, this is something that probably most of you have gone through, I hope. If you haven't, that's okay. Just know NYPL basically didn't answer this question for 8 years and kind of is just now reckoning with it. We learned this lesson at the point of basically a systems crisis, an organizational crisis. When a key person leaves, we're left to pick up the pieces, scrambling to cover responsibilities that may not have been clearly defined or shared. This scenario is all too common, especially in special collections and archives environments where staff are frequently asked to extend their responsibilities beyond their primary roles. Additionally, these departments are often overlooked by the broader organization, working with limited resources, minimal buy-in, and very little support. By acknowledging and addressing these challenges early on, we can better prepare our teams and organizations to handle unforeseen changes and ensure smoother transitions in the future. I'll leave you with some questions to ask if you were like, we haven't talked about that. So here's some questions that you should ask your team or the organization at large. Who owns this system or the processes that depend on it? What happens if this person or these people leave an organization or even go on vacation? Who will take over their responsibilities? What if 2 or more staff members who hold critical roles were to leave or be unavailable? What is the contingency plan? Addressing these questions helps identify potential gaps and ensures that the organization is better prepared for unexpected changes. So I hope to join you all next forum and let you know what our plan is. So that's the end of my presentation, and I'll take any questions, but otherwise, thanks for having me.
Thank you, Dan. I like how all of the presentations so far have follow-up, so like the forum for next year is already set. We have maybe time for one question, and we're a little bit behind, but we've got anyone has it? Okay, otherwise I'll say thank you. Yeah, thank you, Mary. All right. Next up, we have